Okay, so it's Cat Stanley Space Demon coming at you again. So as Kiss fans, you know, I'm sure you're always been a huge fan of their stage show. Not only just the special effects, the flash pots, smoke bombs, levitating drums, all that kind of visual aspect of the show, but the band themselves has always put on a high energy, rip-roaring rock and roll show. They have their choreographed moves where they move their guitars in unison, bob their heads, all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, the individual members have their own signature moves that they're known for on stage, their own individual way of projecting themselves and putting on the best show that they know how. Not the least of which is frontman Paul Stanley, his star child character. He's always been very unabashed, unapologetic about the flamboyant nature, some might even say effeminate nature of the character that he portrays on stage. It's part of his persona in Kiss, and it's part of the way that he does his part to put on the show that is Kiss, the greatest, hottest band in the land, hottest band in the world. Today I want to take a look at maybe a few moments where Paul Stanley has taken that flamboyant star child character a little too far. Some cringy on-stage maneuvers by Mr. Paul Stanley. Okay, so here's the first one, courtesy of bangyou.tumblr.com. Paul Stanley on stage. I don't know which song this is before or what he's doing to introduce, or if this is during a song, but this maneuver where he puts his finger in his mouth, licks his finger, and does that. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. You know, this is a family channel, so I'm not going to really delve too much in this. But personally, I think it's cringe, maybe a bit too far. I don't really know what he's thinking here. I mean, this man is, yeah, so that's that one. Maybe a little too far on that one, Paul. And the thing I notice about these seem to be post-1996, the reunion tour. I watched some earlier performances of the band, and he didn't seem to be doing stuff like this next one, where he's actually appears to be making out with himself. I don't know who he thinks. Is he Ralph Malph? Or, I mean, we all know Paul's in love with himself. I'd like to think that this move here is some brilliant satire. This is Paul Stanley sending himself up. Paul Stanley's self-awareness. He's aware that we know how much he loves himself. This is his way of satirizing his own ego, his own self-love. In a perfect world, that would be the case. But I just think this is Paul thinking he's doing something. I don't know. It's great. Maybe it's just him loving himself. But it's a bit cringe for my money here. I don't know what you think about it, but Paul making out with himself. Let's go on to the next one. This might be an extension of the making out with himself. Again, this is courtesy of bangyou.tumblr.com. Paul smacking and grabbing his own behind his left cheek with his left hand. I don't know if this was the climax of the making out with himself or if this was something separate. Pretty cringe. I don't think I even really need to ask. I can kind of think where you guys are coming from on this one. But again, Paul Stanley smacking and grabbing his own behind. Okay, so here's another one from 1996. I think this is actually the Tiger Stadium reunion show, the first show they did with the original lineup and makeup. It's Paul Stanley. I think this is during the song Do You Love Me? There's a line in there about you like my 7-inch, and I think this is him making this motion with his hands. I guess this is his idea, 7 inches. Looks like a little more than 7 inches. I don't know if maybe he's trying to describe the size of his manhood, but then he follows it up with this kind of off motion. So, kind of cringe to me. I don't know. I guess we can kind of guess what he's trying to convey there. The size of his manhood, followed by a off motion. I don't know if it's him himself off or him suggesting someone else jerk him off, but that's kind of cringe. And again, these most of these here are from post 1996, the reunion. I didn't find a lot of this kind of stuff on some of the early shows that I watched in the 70s heyday. Maybe I missed it. I'm sure some of you guys can point some stuff out to me, but I mean, I don't know what it was. It seemed like when the band came back in 96, Paul was emboldened. I don't know if it was Ellen or the Will and Grace effect, but it seemed like he was emboldened to put his, the flamboyance of his character, to step it up a notch into really cringy territory. And this is the result. And then I've got one more here. It's just sort of this behind wiggle. It was filmed, I think it was from that same Tiger Stadium show. Just kind of Paul wiggling his. Now, I don't know if it almost looked like this was kind of a post-production edit that maybe they did. It reminds me of, I don't know if you remember the scene in Star Wars where Luke Skywalker gets attacked by one of the sand people, and the sand people guy holds his club over his head and he moves it, and that was a move they did in post-production. It was like a half-second frame that they looped to get that effect. It's almost like whoever edited this video decided to take a half-second segment of Paul wiggling his ass and just looping it. Pretty damn cringe. You know, you had a generation of Kiss fans waiting for this reunion tour, and this is what they get. A loop of Paul Stanley wiggling. Really cringe-worthy stuff. And I went back, and the only real semi-cringe, this is kind of just a honorable mention. Back in the day during Firehouse, when Paul Stanley would put the red fireman's hat on, it's not that bad, but when I watch that, it kind of makes me cringe. I gotta be honest. Maybe I'm just a jaded, cynical kind of guy, but it just kind of makes me cringe. But what do you guys think? Like I said, I'm sure there's a lot of these that I've missed. Let me know some of your cringe-worthy Paul Stanley on-stage maneuvers in the comments. Always love to hear it. And I hope this video didn't make you cringe too much. And we'll see you next time.
Who's here?